Okay. Hello, hello. So I was it's a little dark because it's beautiful and it's dusk out right now. But I was just sitting in a meeting and someone private chatted me. It was like the leader of the meeting, the boss of the meeting, so to speak, and they private chatted me and said I wasn't wearing the right thing for the meeting, and this was not actually discussed with me prior. Anyway, there was a lot of story I had around, "Go change your clothes, you're not wearing the right clothes for this meeting." Um, so I had a lot of story around that. But what I ended up doing was I went back into wounding. I went back into little girl. I went back into, "Don't tell me." And then I went around and I was scanning the room to see what other people were wearing, and other people were wearing things that I thought were a little bit less appropriate than what I was wearing. But here's what happened. I felt criticized, I felt attacked, and I reverted back for a few moments to being like a little girl. A little girl. And when I was growing up, I was criticized incredibly hard. I was attacked incredibly hard. My clothes were picked apart. I was picked apart and I was never okay. And even though I've done a lot of work and I've supported a lot of people, it doesn't even matter. There are some times in some moments that something will just hit me at the right moment, at the right time, and I revert back to being a little girl. And so I reverted back to being mad. I reverted back to like, well, then I'm just not going to participate in this meeting. This is all in my head. This is not actually did not happen, but this is all in my head. And I felt like crying. I was like, wow, this is still so alive for me. This criticism, this feeling that if someone criticizes me, that I'm not okay and that I can't take it as neutral. Now, it doesn't always happen that way. It can depend on the way the person delivers the criticism. It can depend on when and how they deliver it, all the things. But most of the time I can take it as neutral and move on, but there are times when I can collapse internally and still feel like a little girl. So, what do we do about this? Like, I know that you can relate to this. I know that you have felt that way before. And when someone criticizes you or points out something that you feel like is a shortcoming, how do we stand powerfully in that? Like, how do we stand powerfully? If a boundary has been crossed by that person, how do we stand powerfully and say, you know what, I'm not really aligned what you're saying to me. I'm going to ask you to stop giving me feedback. Or if maybe it is something that it's like something deserved and they're giving you the feedback, how do you stand powerfully in receiving it, even though it's really, really uncomfortable? And as spiritual warriors, we can take these moments, as I did, and I worked my way through it. I got mad, then I got sad, and then I got like curious. And I pulled way back and I was like, interesting. My little girl got really affected by that. And it makes me want to quit. It makes me want to like screw you. It makes me want to do all those things. And none of those things have worked for me in the past. So I got to comfort my little girl. I got to bring in my warrior self and stand with her, help her, support her, so I can move back into power. Now, at the end of the day, all of these things, even these little tiny moments that take us out of our power, if we think about it in the big picture as a spiritual warrior, they're designed to take us out of our power. They're designed that way. All this programming, all this stuff is designed. But as spiritual warriors, we want to be aware of even the smallest of moments that take us out of our power and learn to recalibrate and become a self cleaning oven so that criticism is neutral. Or if we choose to hear it and, like, oh, maybe it's something to move your life forward, then we create that as well and we engage in that as well. So don't let criticism, because sometimes criticism, feedback is one thing, criticism is another. It's designed to chip away at your self-esteem, but and it's designed to get to that place in you where you're wounded as a little boy or a little girl. But we're not going to allow that to happen. We stand powerfully, we stand strong, and there's going to be times when you're going to work through it. And the spiritual warrior way is to not react unless you need to set a boundary and you do it powerfully and with grace, not react, call power back and get curious about what just happened so that we can continue on moving on with our vision, our life, our power, our joy. All right. My name is Beth Osmer, and I will see you on the next video.